call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the City Council and GCTV 9. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify me at this time. Per open meeting law, I would like to recognize the counselors that are attending remotely. Counselor Golub?
Present.
Okay.
But I'm still looking. Okay.
And we also have Counselor Gilmore joining us remotely.
And I don't know anyone else, but we'll do roll, find out who's here.
Clerk Scott, let's have a roll call.
Do you have the video on when you're speaking?
Oh, yes, and just a reminder, please, if at all possible, have your counselors have your video on while speaking.
Counselor Golub,
Here.
Counselor Gordon,
Here.
Counselor Master Totoro,
Here.
Counselor Bullock, I don't see her yet. Vice President Gilmore,
Here.
Counselor Toronzo,
Here.
President Bottomley.
Here?
6. We do not have a quorum. Oh, sorry, Counselor Minhas.
Here.
President Bottomley, you have a quorum.
Excellent. The next will be the Pledge of Allegiance, which is voluntary. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules of procedure?
So moved.
Second.
And we will be, oh yes, we need to vote to suspend that. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yes.
President Bottomley.
Yes?
The motion passes.
Excuse me, Clerk Scott and Counselor Bottomley. I just want to make sure that you are aware that we're online, unable to see you. The video has blinked in like 2 very, very brief seconds, but besides that, it's a black screen.
And this is Counselor Bullock. I'm present. It just took me forever to get in for some reason.
Thanks, we'll note that. We are checking on the technical difficulties at the moment. It looks like we have not been able to solve this technical difficulty, but I believe we can go forward as long as everyone can hear and is able to respond to vote on this. Apparently, it's visible on YouTube, but for some reason not on Zoom.
Did that make any difference?
We just got like a, oh, now we see you. We see you now. We see you from the back camera. It's like all the way from the back.
Say it for the people in the back.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, having suspended the rules of procedure, we're going to be moving to the first item under motions and orders, which is filling precinct 7 counselor vacancy. Vice President Gilmore, do you have that for us on page 15?
I do. Do you want me to read it as written or fill in the name? Or, no, I should do it as an amendment, right?
No, if you could just fill in the name.
All right, got it. All right, the city council moved that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council pursuant to chapter section 2-11 approves the appointment of William Wood Perry to fill the precinct 7 city council seat vacated by Jasper Lapiansky until December 31st, 2025.
Second that.
I will open this up for discussion. I did want to say, I wanted to thank Drew David and Jesus Leyva for putting in their applications. We had 3 really excellent, outstanding candidates for Precinct 7, which speaks highly of Precinct 7. I really appreciate it. It was a difficult decision. I decided with advice of committee chairs to appoint Wood Perry, and I'll open this up for anyone who wants to discuss this. Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes?
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yes.
Counselor Bottomley.
Yes?
The motion passes unanimously.
So that's a congrats to Wood Perry, who we will now, Clerk Scott will swear in, and you'll be able to start your duties with us tonight.
Did we lose sound, or are you guys just not near the mic?
Sorry about that. We did not plan for sound on the swearing in. So we will return back to the normal order, number 4 on here, which is reconsider the November 29th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. And I'm going to turn this over to Clerk Scott for explanation.
So the November 29th, 2023 meeting minutes were reformatted so that they were in compliance with open meeting law. This was brought to light by an open meeting law complaint that we had from a person. So we're starting with these because they were most recent, and we've been doing the minutes in line with open meeting law since, so this just needs to be reconsidered.
So moved. Do I have to move that?
Ooh, I did not. Is that- And this will also be the January 2nd meeting minutes. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
And discussion? Hearing none, this would be a roll call vote.
Thing is,
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Master
yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yes.
Counselor President Bottomley,
Yes?
and the motion passes unanimously.
This one.
Counselor Perry.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes unanimously.
I was going to say if you had any questions for us, but next we'll move on to communications from the superintendent of schools and school committee. Welcome, Chair Johnson Masad.
Thank you very much, and great to be with you. Apologize for not being able to be here last month. It will be an ongoing issue since I'm the town coordinator for Wendell, Massachusetts, and their meetings on the third Wednesdays of the month, so I staff those. The superintendent sends her regrets tonight. She couldn't be here, but I just wanted to say how happy I am to be working with you and look forward to hearing from you and answering any questions I can, being of any assistance I can to you in your roles in relationship to the schools. And then two other items I wanted to talk about tonight. I think I'll start with the good news, which is to let you know about Jessica Caravo, who received the 2024 Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teaching Award. She's a 7th grade math teacher, and I wanted to just read the citation about her that someone made in their nomination of her for this award. Not only does Jess bring out the best in her fellow teachers, she brings out the best in students each and every day. They take risks because they know Mrs. Caravo will guide and support them every step of the way. They want to make her proud, but she wants them to make themselves proud. Both of those wishes come true over and over again in Mrs. C's classroom as the school year flies by. So, great exemplar of the wonderful work being done in our schools, and we're so proud of her and all the other teachers doing great work in Greenfield. Yes. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the role of the assistant superintendent for curriculum. It is a big item in our budget, and it will be coming forward to you. And when I started in the school committee as an appointment to fill a vacancy, I came and interviewed at the school committee meeting. And we were kind of had to wait outside for a little while. And there were teachers there who were there to present about the civics curriculum. There wasn't an assistant superintendent for curriculum at the time. There wasn't a curriculum leader. So these teachers had to kind of leave the classroom, go into Boston for the day. They were trying to piece together an overhaul of the civics curriculum that was being required by the state. And it was just this kind of impression of this very important work that needed to happen to overhaul the curriculum for the schools and being done kind of in the free time of the teachers who are already stretched. At an early meeting in my tenure at as a school committee member, we had a presentation about one of our schools that's been kind of designated as underperforming and being given resources by the state called statewide systems of support, which is kind of a turnaround plan. And so we have some schools that are struggling, and I think part of the reason was, like, if you looked at our budget back then, we had a role in there for an assistant superintendent of curriculum, but it wasn't filled. And it was with new superintendent leadership that we filled that position with Karen Patnod, who's done a great job. And you know, what we had before was a bit of a patchwork, and we didn't have like really a consistent curriculum across the whole school system. And you had situations coming up where there are music programs in some elementary schools and not in others, because no one was looking at the whole, and that meant that the schools had inequity across which, depending upon which elementary school you landed in. So, you know, I know I've heard from a couple people that they see that number in their budget, and it's a big one, and they think, how many teachers could we have for that? We need music teachers, we need language teachers, and so on. But in my mind, it's kind of like if you have a lot of really great players I'm not really a sports person, but I couldn't stop thinking of the sports metaphor that if you have a lot of great players on a team, and for years they're kind of like not really doing as well as everyone thinks they could, is that the time to take, you know, a talented coach out of the team? I think you need someone thinking about the whole and helping to create those synergies and make the best use of the limited resources we have. So I think it's an incredible investment, and I think we're already starting to see some of the benefits of having curriculum leadership in Greenfield. So.
Thank you.
Thank
I would
you.
like to open this up for any questions from counselors.
May I?
Yeah, Counselor Master Totaro.
I was going to approach this tonight, but we had a conversation earlier in the week, and then I noticed that this was going to be brought up. I don't want to be unpopular, but I disagree with the idea of an assistant superintendent for over $200,000 a year, because with the assistant superintendent comes her administrative assistant and a few extra thousands of dollars for travel, etc. There are other means that this position can be filled, in my opinion. You can have a director of curriculum with at the same cost of a teacher, and it could be a dual role as a grant writer. And with that grant writer position, if it's a dual role, that position could be bring in enough grant money to cover the cost of the position. In 2022 to 23, the budget went up, the school budget went up $2 million from 21 to 22. In 2023 to 24, the budget went up another $2 million, for good reason. The teachers needed to raise, and the Ways and Means Committee did a great job getting that done. However, this year, you're proposing another $1.3 million. Yet, since 2019, enrollment has dropped from 1,732 kids to 1,446 kids in 2023. From 2022 to 23 alone, enrollment has dropped 158. 4 out of 5 of our schools are underperforming, and the assistant superintendent position has been in place for more than 3 years. Something's not right. We're losing children, and I have an idea as to why. But in any event, taxpayers, homeowners, The older folks in the community are getting priced out of our homes. I think it's time that the school department rethink their budget. I have a couple of ideas. Do we actually really need a full-time transportation coordinator? I don't know what that costs. It used to be a secretary makes a phone call and says, hey, you got to go pick this kid up somewhere. And to me, that could be filled by any number of central service positions. We currently have 2 assistant principals in both the middle school and the high school. The high school having just over 400 kids, the middle school just having just over 300 children. I do not understand why we need a principal and 2 assistant principals in a school.
Excuse me, point of order. Can I ask, I'm sorry, can I ask a question? This isn't a budget.
I know,
that wasn't-
I know it isn't. It was brought up, so I'm going to pursue it, if you don't mind.
Our normal rules, I believe, is it 5 minutes per counselor in discussion? So you still have a couple minutes left to
Okay,
hit your
so,
point. But also, I just wanted to say for all counselors, make sure to direct comments to the president so that we don't have a
Okay.
back and forth.
Here's the bottom line. There is not enough money in the budget for arts, for music. And when I campaigned about how important the arts are in the schools and how it relates to economic development. And I'm not going to go off on that, but I do want to read a couple of things and I'll be done. The state has reported that our student participation in the arts has dropped from 80 to 50% at Greenfield High School. Parents have raised concerns about the lack of music programs being offered, particularly band directors and applied music instruction. I campaigned on this. But what I will say is music teaches math, rational numbers, fraction, division, science, frequencies, foreign language, Italian, German, French, hand-eye coordination, self-discipline, practice, endurance, critical thinking. Our public schools must be sensibly funded so as to provide students a well-rounded education. This must include music, art, and drama. Performing arts encourages students to explore their imagination and helps them develop their own unique voice and inventiveness. I'm not going to go on. The fact is, the bottom line is, we have a ship with central services administrators up in the bridge. We have the teachers, the crew, that are working hands-on with our students, and we have ballast down in the hull of the ship. And people keep, the ballast being the students, and they keep disappearing. And we have a ship that's about to capsize. The school budget needs to be funded sensibly, and right now it's not. And I'm very, very disappointed in how things are being run. So we have buses that are paying $20,000 a year to park buses at the church. We have city property where that could be parked. They could be parked. I mean, it might be something you might want to think about. We have Green River School. They could be parked there.
Counselor, I think we're close to our time here.
I'm done.
Thank you. Any other counselors with questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor.
Okay, so I just want to say I don't think Counselor Mastrotaro is alone in this, because all of us want to fund the school system. All of us want to make sure that it's functioning well and that the students are at the center. But what it seems is that we have, not to not to address you specifically or your analogy, but it seems like as if we have like a coach, right? And the coach has like a Porsche, and the kids who are on the team, who are actually playing, the teachers, don't even have cleats. That's what it seems like. It seems like we don't even have a goalie. The goalie doesn't have gloves. We don't have cleats. That's how it seems. And the players are leaving, and the spectators are leaving. And the amount of students that you have in your school actively determines the funds that the school receives. If you constantly have people leaving, how are you actually going to get these funds? So, I mean, none of us are here to defund the school system. None of us are here to, make your job harder. But we would just like to encourage you to look at your budget more critically and spend it where the money is needed, which is actually towards the teachers and towards the students and their quality of education. I mean, okay, think of it this way. No parent is going to be like, oh my God, we have an assistant administrative position which is being filled. Oh my God, I want to send my kids there. No, people are going to be like, do you have a well-rounded extracurriculars? Do you have a music department? Do you have an art department? Are those well funded? How many options do those kids have? That's what they're going to look at, not at how well a administrator is being paid. And it honestly seems a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have, yes, Councillor Toronto?
In some ways, I echo my constituents here. I was on the committee last year and pulled a lot of heat as well for some of the changes that we made to fund the schools. I think everyone knows where I stand on the importance of education. I ran on that myself as well twice. And what we got back as a council last year, after getting a lot of heartfelt sentiment from not only the community, but the people who work at the schools, the school committee themselves, the superintendent, was, after all was said and done, was, this is outside of your purview. Why are you telling us what to do? Well, I'm telling you what to do now. I'm telling you that if you want funding in the future, you do need to listen to the constituents. And that was a really tasteless response last year to trying to fund the things that help our children out. More administration isn't needed. I will say, there was no assistant superintendent when I grew up in Greenfield schools. None. We had 2 more elementary schools at the time. We had enrollment that's probably, I don't know the numbers, probably double what Greenfield has right now, with 1 superintendent. It is one of the highest paid positions, and this is no knock on anybody holding the position. It's the position itself. There's a reason that it is paid almost the highest salary of anybody in the city. It comes with a great responsibility. So then to have an assistant who would then be probably the 3rd or 4th highest paid employee also in the city is ridiculous. If we can't find someone who can get a shrinking school system under wraps without hiring another 100,000+, and again, with fringe and with other department persona who are going to be needed to support that extra position, if we can't do that, then there's a big failure on the infrastructure already. And more administration is not going to help that. It's certainly not going to help any of our children become more well-rounded. I would say I would rather put the money towards paying somebody to figure out how to contract the ridiculous MCAS crap that has happened for the last 20+ years, which is half the reason why most of our kids aren't well-rounded. They're being raised to be robots at this point. And all that seems to be important is English, which, wow, has been lacking for the last 25 years, LOL, hashtag. And we're stuck on, math and 3 years of history and 4 years of English and all these things that are compartmentalized everywhere, and it breeds robots. It doesn't breed well-rounded adults when the children do become adults. And so I guess to be the question to ask for the school committee going forward is, what would the assistant superintendent do that would be more helpful than giving students something to look forward to? If they're not, if that position isn't going to be combating the structure as it is right now, then what would be the purpose? What would they actually be accomplishing?
I don't know, before we go on, Counselor Bullock, you have your hand up, but would you like to respond at all, or?
No, I don't want to respond. I just want to remind my fellow counselors, and apologies if I'm just being direct tonight. I'm sick and knew we were close to not having a quorum, so I'm here. But we have hours of budget conversations coming up in like just a few months, and this topic can't be handled tonight. We can't even probably get the answers that some of you want. I appreciate your passion for this issue. Obviously, I care about this. I have kids in the public school, but we have hours of budget season ahead of us very soon, and no doubt this topic will come up. So I just want to urge us to stay the course and get us through this evening.
Thank you. Yes, I was not anticipating a budget conversation. Would Chairman Johnson-Musad, would you like to respond to any of this before we go on to questions or more questions?
I think I prefer to hear from all the counselors, and then I can make some comments at the end.
Thank you. Let's see, we had Counselor Gordon.
Thank you. My colleagues bring up important concerns. I think that they represent a lot of people in the community who share those concerns. All that said, this is your first meeting, and I imagine that you weren't quite prepared for a grilling and to absorb all of the passion that's coming at you right now. So I just want to say thank you for being here, and also congratulations on being elected chair of the school committee, because you're very new to that. Yeah. It's a hard job. We recognize that you weren't in that role last year when, there were various interactions between the school committee and the council. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Do we have any other counselors that wish to ask questions? It looks like none. Thank you so much. And if you would like to say anything, and again, congrats on being elected to your position.
Thank you very much.
Council.
It's a good way to make friends, Don't take it personally at all. I really appreciate where everyone's coming from. It gives me a chance to offer my belated thanks for how hard you worked to preserve funds for the schools last year. I saw how hard you worked, and I really appreciated it. And I think it made a big difference for our kids, and I think for the community, to see the way that you fought for education. And I think we have some different viewpoints, and I would just say that I think that when teachers are looking, when parents are looking at which school system they want their kids to go to, they primarily want someplace where they're going to get an excellent education. They want those student outcomes, and as long as we have MCAS, they want good MCAS scores, and they want their kids to be able to get into the schools they want to, or go on to the vocations that they want to. And my personal viewpoint, obviously, is that having a curriculum leader in Karen Patnod, and we're currently hiring for a new person to fill that role, since she'll be our new superintendent soon, is so important, to have someone whose time is completely laser focused on the curriculum and on education and on turning it around. And just to go back to our metaphor of the ship, I just think it takes a long time to turn a ship around sometimes, and it only has been a few years. And we are starting to see some of those outcomes, but the investments we're making now will have an impact, especially as kids progress from pre-K through 12. So it does take a long time in education just to see the results of investments, and that can be hard. People work hard for their money, and their money, when it goes to the schools, they'd like to see those results faster. I would too. But I do believe we're on the right course. And I really appreciate all your time, and I hope you will be in touch. I want to hear from you. I want to stay connected, and I'll come as often as I can to your meetings.
Thank you, Glenn, and I really look forward to working with you and the new school committee.
Thanks.
Next, we have communications from the mayor, city officers, and employees. Welcome.
Well, good evening, counselors. Welcome to new Counselor Perry, and all of our citizens that are here tonight and watching on television. So I have some updates as of today. I'm here to share that Lieutenant Dodge has been promoted to acting police chief, with William Gordon continuing to serve as the department's deputy chief. And I would actually like to ask our new Chief Dodge to come up here and sit beside me for a minute so that you can make sure that you all know who he is. So I just, for those of you who don't know, new Chief Dodge, I look forward to working with you. I'm delighted that he is here tonight with us, and he's served in the department for 26 years. I totally look forward to working with him, and to continue to be involved with him in the police department. This has been a very eventful week in City Hall, and this will be a very impactful transition. I also know that it has been a very challenging time for the men and women in this department, and that was something that Chief Dodge is very concerned about. A period of healing and stability has begun, and I just wanted to thank Chief Dodge for stepping up to the plate. And that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure you all knew him. I'm going to give a few further updates on the city. Did you want to say anything?
I'll just speak briefly. I am looking forward to meet. I do know some of you. Hopefully we can get together, meet in person, and talk about where we want to go. We're very open to that. We got a really good command staff. I do want to apologize. We started the day today, and I already got yelled at by a sergeant because they didn't have an appropriate haircut for this event. So I assured him I'd take care of that forthwith, so I'll take care of that. We do have a great staff, and I believe we can definitely move in some really good directions with Mayor DeSorger's support and your support. I'm very eager to get going and get underway. So I appreciate everybody's support here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Chief. Your department's been through a lot, and I look forward to working with you.
Just a couple of more things. I know another hot topic for tonight, the Swiffer grant. I have read every word of many, many documents, every letter of support from our state and federal delegation, from Markey to Warren, Comerford, Natalie Blay, Susanna Whips, all showed their support for support for this grant for automated single-stream recycling. It seems to me the direction that the EPA was going in. But moreover, as the mayor, I have a very important job, and one of them is taking care of the employees that work for the city. We don't need one more back injury or one more person falling under a truck while performing the job. One of the other jobs is fiscal responsibility. This grant will provide, as you know, some state-of-the-art recycling vehicles for our current fleet, which is aging and in a state of disrepair. Acquiring this grant opens up some opportunities for utilizing funds to make some other improvements within the city, and I encourage you to vote in favor of it, and I also always encourage everyone to vote their conscience. This was difficult for me too. A little update on The Lunt property, well, the city, that being me sending something out, has advised O'Reilly, Talbot, and Oaken, and John Ziegler, that, who is the Western Mass DEP chief, that OTO is no longer working for the city. However, that has not actually stopped them from showing up on site and collecting some soil samples, and at the risk of getting into anything that could cause any further legal process, I'm going to leave it at that and not answer any questions on that. But I promise you that I will share updates on that as I can. And lastly, the MOU is before you because it required a funding source, and I trust that the city council has done their research on that matter and that you're prepared to vote best interest of the city. So I'll take any questions that you have, and because I have my cleats on. So, okay, go ahead.
All right, councilors, any questions for the mayor? Yes, Councilor Gordon.
I'm going to be the thank you person again. I actually don't have a question, but I just want to note that you have accomplished a lot in a very short period of time already. It's only the middle of February. You were elected with a mandate to do a lot of things, and you're already doing them, and we see that and we appreciate it. So thank you for that, and thanks for all the updates tonight.
I'd just like to say I didn't do that by myself. I had an awful lot of good people beside me helping me. Thank you.
We have Councilor Vice President Gilmore.
Hi, sorry, I've got COVID and I'm not feeling well, but I knew that we needed to have a quorum tonight, so I'm not going to be on camera, but I can assure you I do not look good. So just try and remember me in the best possible light. I just wanted to ask the mayor, I know that the news of the former chief leaving was very, I know he didn't give a lot of notice. And I don't know if you've had a chance to start looking into this, but I'm curious when you're going to start searching for a permanent chief and what that search is going to look like.
So I have somebody in place right now that I'm very happy to be serving. And I think you all know that, well, you probably don't know, I've been in touch with our delegation. By delegation, I mean our Senator Joe Comerford and Representative Whips and Blay. And, you know, before any permanent appointments are made, we were attempting to get the chief's position out of civil service. This was something that was agreed on by the Chief Strain and the former chief and all of city council and the former mayor. That's before the delegation, and they're trying to get that pushed ahead, and at that point we'll make further steps. But I'm quite happy with where we are today, truthfully, and I think we need some. I'm actually taking some of these words from people that are smarter than me, but I think we need some stability right now. This has been a department that's had a lot of turmoil, and I think that we have a good person here at the helm for now, and I'm happy with that. But that's where I hope I answered that well enough.
No, I'm certainly not trying to rush you. I was just curious how things were going to work out. But thank you.
Councilor Minhas.
This is not a question either, but I would just like to say, I think this administration has done a good job of listening to people, specifically on the police issue. This was many years of struggle and people trying to be heard about a specific personnel change, and to see you do this so early in your administration is very, very encouraging. So thank you for that, and I would like to thank you on the behalf of a lot of people who are waiting for this to happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really sorry my first question to you, We're going to be talking about the memorandum of understanding later tonight. I've heard you talk about what you did to make sure there was funding available, but I haven't heard you talk too much about how you feel about this. Can you give us any insight or guidance for us as we talk about this issue later tonight?
So I'm being very careful in my answers here, okay? And if I were the mayor at this time, I would not have negotiated this. And we do have, I did get a legal opinion on this. And it was against public policy to be signing something. I'm not going to read from the 6-page legal opinion, as I was instructed not to. But these memorandums of understanding require an appropriation because they weren't in part of the budget. That's not what we appropriated for last year when we voted on that budget. So this is more than what was appropriated for that. So you can do with that what you will. They required an appropriation because they they were over whatever the budget was last year. I'm just reading from my notes here so that I don't say anything improper.
I think you said enough, Mayor. I got the
Okay,
gist. That's
okay,
all I
got it.
needed to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Perry.
Any last questions for the mayor? Seeing none, thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to public comment. And tonight, just due to the length of our business we have to do, we're going to limit public comment to 2 minutes per person. And so also anyone online or anyone in the audience that wants to speak, please feel free to sign up. We have a fancy new clock.
We have a new timer.
This may take us a minute to figure out our new timing system, but the first person is Ishmael from Greenfield, Mass. Can come forward. Welcome. Hey, everyone. Oh, if you could please, yes, if you can, and
Thank you so much.
thank you for being here. If you could just state your name and address, and then you'll have 2 minutes to speak to us.
Hi everyone, my name is Ismail Asad. My address, I live actually in Leiden, but my food truck is here in Greenfield. Yeah, what I'm when you say this night, what happened about Gaza, what happened in Gaza now, it is not new. Since 2007 until before October 23, October 7, 23, 16,800 Palestinians get killed in Gaza. 6,800 children. It was, in that time, from 2007 until 2023, it was almost 6 wars in Gaza. What happened in Gaza now, it is more than a human being could describe it there. People, if they don't die from rocket, from tanks, from sheep throwing weapons and from the sea, people dying from hunger, dying from because they don't have water. People, more than 10,000 kids, Palestinian kids in Gaza now, they are disabled. Their hand, their leg, without hands and without leg. This war create an army of orphans there. In a time we need to create not hatred, to create peace and love, people to come together, to work together to find solution, how we could live together, how we create better life for both Israeli and Palestinian. We are, as a Palestinian, we don't have nothing to give. We don't have, like, if in Gaza live since 2007 until 2003, live in a siege. Israel control.
That is our 2 minutes, but if you want to finish up a second, you can.
I want to say one sentence. This time, this position will remain in history, in a human history. And the next generation will remember what you said, what you decide here, guys. Just to be a human being. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person is Packy Whalen.
Hi, Baki Wieland, and I live at 54 High Street, Greenfield. And I'm speaking on behalf of the ceasefire and the invitation to you to go on record as supporting the ceasefire. You're our closest part of government, and you will, if you agree, and I guess it's not until the next meeting that you'll have the opportunity to send this on and to go on record. And unlike those poor Germans who didn't have the opportunity to speak up, you do. And I was a child and learned about the Holocaust, and I thought, where were the Germans? Where were the German people? And I think the same thing is happening now in our country. Where are the voices of the people? And you can join, you can be amplified by going on record as the City Council of Greenfield, Massachusetts, supporting the ceasefire, which is only justice for the people of Palestine and justice for the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Molly Merritt.
Hi, Molly Merritt. I live on Solar Way, and I also want to say thanks to all the hardworking city councilors. So first of all, I'm here to ask you to vote against the increase in the base pay to Acting Chief Gordon, and also to vote against increasing new obstacles to disciplining or firing Chief Gordon. I also will try to, we're gonna have to be quick. So I wanna ask you to look around at the people here in this room. Who are here because we want the Greenfield City Council to pass a permanent Gaza ceasefire resolution. Those of you who are on Zoom, look around the Zoom room, see how many people are here because we want you to pass a permanent Gaza ceasefire resolution. Also imagine the 235 Greenfield residents who've signed our petition calling for the Greenfield City Council to pass a ceasefire resolution. Also, imagine the hundreds and hundreds of residents in Amherst, Northampton, and East Hampton who are currently working on getting their city councils to pass a ceasefire resolution. Imagine the thousands, tens of thousands, and probably hundreds of thousands of people around the country who are asking their local municipalities to pass a ceasefire resolution or have already gotten one passed. I understand that some of you think that we should not be here taking up your time with a resolution that does not affect Greenfield, or that this is not the right place to discuss this issue. Hundreds of thousands of people around the country are doing this because we understand it's not just about one city, one town. It's about hundreds of thousands of us using every available channel to get this civilian massacre to end. Hundreds of thousands of us who have been calling our federal representatives weekly, sometimes daily, and still do not see them taking meaningful action to end the assault on Gaza as the bodies of children, women, and old people pile up. Hundreds and thousands of us who have seen a lot of horror in the world but have never witnessed anything as sickeningly devastating as this mass slaughter, which experts on this subject agree is on the verge of being a genocide, if the 30,000 people killed so far in 4 months does not already classify it as such. Hundreds and thousands of us who are sick of seeing our tax dollars being used to buy weapons that kill babies and wipe whole families off the civil registry while we can't access adequate health care, and while we struggle to afford housing and food, while we send our kids to school where there's 40 students to one teacher because our government prioritizes militarism and placing its finger on the scale of global affairs rather than meeting the basic needs of its own citizens.
Thank you. Melody Goodwin?
Good evening. So, my name is Melody Goodwin. I live on Meadow Lane in Greenfield. I am a retired school principal. I have stood in front of the school council, town council 3 or 4 times begging you to fund the school budget. Tonight hurts my heart because I'm saying to you, look at the money. I am a taxpayer. February, I wrote a check for over $2,000 to this city of Greenfield. I just got my excise tax. Now I need to find more money. Taxpayers are done in Greenfield. We are being overtaxed. People are choosing to, buy groceries or pay their taxes. It is now too much for the taxpayers. What should be funded are what we need, not what we want. What we need is housing, food, and safety. Those basic needs need to be met in this city. What we want has to be considered after we meet those needs. We didn't need a parking garage, which nobody is willing to park in because it's not safe. We didn't need some fancy digital thing in front of town hall. We didn't need a lot of the things that money has been spent on in the past. The school budget has gone up $5 million in the last 5 years. I'm sorry. I've been an educator since 1983 and a principal since 1996. I love the children in this town. I've been willing to die for the children in this town. I've seen the homeless come. I've seen them go. I have reached in my pocket and given every dime I could to a child. The money isn't going to the children, which is what makes me very sad. I have gone through the school budget. I have gone through every piece of data that exists on our schools. I am afraid because I listened to the story of bankruptcy in the school department, and it is my hope that we are not going there again.
Thank you. Jesus Leiva.
I'm going to withdraw my comment.
Aaron Anhalt.
Good evening. I'm Erin Anhalt. I live on Beacon Street. I know my time is limited. I want to ask that the City Council make sure they thoroughly examine the deal that the former mayor cut with Deputy Chief Gordon, and they vote no on anything related to funding and approving that deal. Community safety and public safety is dependent on a sense of trust between civilians and police, and trust is already at an unfortunate low. This deal between the former mayor and the deputy chief continues to erode that trust, which decreases safety all around. Secondly, I want to speak about the ongoing issues regarding the schools. I'm the current president of the Greenfield High School Band Parents Association, and the music program in the schools is virtually non-existent and desperately needs more funding. Currently, there is no line item for band, which means there's nothing budgeted for these kids to have transportation to events and concerts, no money for uniforms, no money for instrument repair or replacement. This is the only music program in the high school. The schools do not need bloated administration positions such as a new superintendent of curriculum. They need something smaller, and what the students really need are funding for music, special education, and arts. Without these programs, the investment in the schools is non-existent, and we will continue to bleed students. The students need to be the priority. Bloated and redundant administration positions do not properly center the children with programs that support them, like music and special education, arts, and languages. These programs are the critical key to making sure that our students are well-rounded and that they have opportunities which will not only enrich their lives, but further enrich Greenfield going forward. As I've always said since we've been here, investing in our education is investing in the future of Greenfield. It is investing in small businesses. It is an investment in our roads, in our community, in our senior citizens. Because when you invest in schools, you invest in families, and you invest in the community as a whole. I ask that you strongly encourage the school committee to reconfigure their budget and use your influence as best you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Letson.
So I'm assuming the green light is the one I go to, not the red light. Okay. Carol Letson, 29 Allen Street, Precinct 3. So I'm asking all of you here and on the screen, please vote tonight to modify the financial order from the language presented to Ways and Means. Approve expenditures of $2,055,330 from the Environmental Protection Agency Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant to an automated single-stream collection program, which was in the original. Congratulations note from EPA to the current title and entered into EPA's system right now. The City of Greenfield Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant proposal to transform its manually collected dual-stream recycling program to an automated collection program. There is no, in this action, there is no need to change single stream to dual stream, since there is no pending grant that matches that language, so it would not be valid or useful as a financial order. I hope that this update helps to clear up some misunderstandings in the wording of the action on the table. Thank you. I know you've heard a lot about this topic. I just wanted to repeat it. I hope it becomes clearer as we talk together. Thank you.
Thank you. Marion Griswold.
Marion Griswold, 46 Hastings Street. I just want to add my voice to those who are urging you to pass a resolution, a ceasefire resolution in Gaza. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothea Melenkoff.
Hi, my name is Dorothea Melnikoff. I live on Norwood Street here in Greenfield. I have written to each one of the city councilors, and I signed the petition along with many other of the citizens here in Greenfield, urging that we pass a ceasefire resolution. I know there's some questions about, does this belong in city council? And I have to say, yes, it does belong here, because we need to send a clear message locally, to our state and to our federal government that we don't support this, that we need to be a voice really for people who no longer have a voice, people who have been buried under the rubble, scholars, poets that have been killed. It's really a moral obligation that we have. I look around and I see the city of Greenfield, and I realize that, more than twice the population has been killed in Gaza and in the West Bank also. The infrastructure is gone. This building wouldn't be here. The hospital would be unavailable to us, or it would be under attack. We'd be hearing drones in the air constantly. We'd be under threat. And while it seems like a distant and far away attack, I think it comes close to us, and it comes close to jeopardizing all of our civil liberties as we stand in a world where humanitarian crimes are being done with impunity. It's shifting the way that that people are responding to each other. And I see it as kind of a dystopian future, and we really need to stand up and speak out because it's happening right now. And thank you. So vote ceasefire resolution. I only wish we could vote tonight.
Thank you. Kobe Leff.
Hello, I'm Kobe Leff of Green River Road in Greenfield. I am here to echo the support of the ceasefire resolution. I vehemently agree that this does have a place in the city council if we can be one of the cities raising our voice against this atrocity. Other cities will follow, and then the federal government will begin to listen. We have a real meaningful opportunity to be on the right side of history and to feel with pride that we stood against horror and genocide. Many people have expressed a feeling that this is just sort of the way things are, and we're powerless to stop the state violence of Israel, and we're powerless to stop our government's political and financial support of it. My grandfather fought in the Israeli War of Independence, so-called, and he very strongly believed in the cause, coming out of being a veteran in World War II and seeing the fascist horror and wanting a safe place for the Jewish people. He left Israel after the first year and never looked back because of the racist violence he saw in witnessing the Nakba. He died last year, and in some ways it is good that he did not live to see the horror that is unfolding today, because it would have destroyed him. And in his legacy, I'm here tonight to ask that we please stand up, and that if it was possible for someone who was alive last year to be a part of the world-shifting change that was creating Israel, we all in this room have the agency and power to be a part of the world-shifting change that is protecting Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Peg Hall.
Peg Hall, 34 Pier Street, 2 minutes, 2 topics. So I'm going to start by saying thank you all for being counselor. This is not an easy job. The paint resolution, I understand that Councilor Wondolowski is not able to be here tonight, and she is the sponsor. I'm just going to offer, if you have any questions and would care to call upon me at that time, I would be happy to answer anything. Thank you. And then on the single stream versus dual stream, I did a little calculation that I haven't shared with anybody until now because I only noticed it. So there's 208 miles, route miles, according to their calculations, that a truck would need to travel to pick up recycling once. So that's 5,400 miles a year. So if we were to do it twice for dual stream, that would be an extra 5,400 miles. The extra miles traveled by the tractor trailer, not the total miles, the extra miles to go from Springfield to Berlin, 75 miles. There were actually 152 trips, not the 130 that her estimate was. There were actually 152 trips last year. That's 11,540 miles. Sorry, 11,400 miles. So if they say, I look at the greenhouse gas numbers associated with those, and I would also listen to the comments that the DEP just sent us that said she has seen many towns make the mistake of paying too much attention to first-year costs and not realizing that the ongoing annual costs start to add up. Also, we were originally told, they've backed down on this some, we were originally told that to do dual stream, to go past every house twice, we would need 3 trucks, maybe 4, and we'd need to go 5 days a week. Again, they've backed down on that some, but I don't know why that would be the case, because right now, we do trash with 2 trucks, 2 drivers in 4 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne Carlson?
Suzanne Carlson, 24 Elm Terrace, Greenfield. I appreciate what Peg has said and the way things are phrased, and I think we can get the grant by rephrasing it. And then I sent an email to all the counselors, including my 3rd precinct counselor. Thank you about that. My main my main concern is about the genocide that's happening and the importance for this city to take a stand on that, to add to the numbers of the millions of people that are raising their voices and acting for ceasefire. It is our government that is producing and making those bombs available to Israel to be bombing the hell out of Gaza. And they're also taking extreme measures against the Palestinians in the West Bank. And they are out to eliminate all Palestinians. And it is our government. And as a community, we have a responsibility. Your voice is louder than one citizen in town. So we want you to use your voice as a community council to urge the president and the Congress to end this genocide. We do not need to support these and make everybody homeless in Gaza and then the rest of West Bank to make room for more settlers to take over their land. We need money to house people here in this country. I know Ismail was shocked to see so many homeless people when he came to this country, and I'm shocked to see them too. And we all know that there are human needs that need money and not to be wasted on destruction and killing. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Hazard.
Nancy Hazard, 30 Spring Terrace in Greenfield. Thank you so much for all of your work and your time. I'm here to talk about the grant from the EPA for the solid waste infrastructure. Solid waste is incredibly important. What we do with it, how it, where it goes, that we actually succeed in doing what we're trying to do, which is recycle as much materials as possible. As I understand it, there's an opportunity, as Carol and Peg explained, is there's an opportunity to accept the $2 million grant, $2+ million, to an automated collection program, but not necessarily to specify at this point whether it's dual or single stream, and to give yourselves time for the council to learn about those two options and to make an informed decision. I personally am in support of the dual stream, but I leave that's not what we're debating tonight. What we are debating is what are the words of the grant? Let's leave it open so that you have the opportunity to make that decision at a later date. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pamela Goodwin.
Pamela Goodwin, 54 High Street. I don't know where that clock went, you guys. It's not facing me. It broke? Oh. Darn. It's like the State House. I love that. Counts down. So, again, I want to thank you all for working so hard as city councilors. I want to congratulate the mayor on filling so many seats on the various commissions and committees. I think she's doing a dynamite job. You guys will be voting on other people tonight. This is not to disparage the other two wonderful candidates that ran against Jesus, but I am disappointed that he ran as councilor at large. He has been an immense help to people over at the Weldon. I've been working with him on some other things. I'm a little disappointed that he wasn't selected. I know that he will continue to do massive amount of research for school funding. That's always been a thrust for him in terms of looking for that. I already emailed you guys, but very late this afternoon because I had computer problems, and I urge you to vote against the MOU that was put forth by the former mayor. I view that as kind of a vindictive thing that landed in our current mayor's plate that was unexpected. As Mayor DeZorga said, she's hoping you will vote your conscience on that. I'll read part of this statement, and I also want to urge you guys that you can reword the grant, and I have been listening to Peg in my inbox, and I went to the Lava Center, and I'm watching and learning as much as I can. So the current title entered into the EPA system, City of Greenfield Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant Proposal to transform its manually collected dual stream recycling program to an automated collection program. So it's my understanding there's a language problem with what you might be looking for. I trust Peg Hall's research and expertise. She has tirelessly delved into this matter. Years ago, I taught elementary children an after-school program, and they knew that you could have clothing and pavement and all kinds of things, and it's my understanding that if we go to single stream, it's going to create a waste situation. I urge you to rethink how you would word that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll switch to online. Francois, I'm going to say the wrong name. You know how to. Haight? And you can correct me.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, pretty correct, thank you. Yes, I just would like to ask the city council to vote against the MOU funding these enormous raises to the police top brass. I think these proposed raises are outrageous. Nobody else gets that kind of increase, and I'm not aware of any acts that really would justify these raises. So please vote against them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ella Condon?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I want to voice,
Oh, sorry. Could you state your name and your address or residence?
yes. Ella Condon, Precinct 8.
Thanks.
I just want to ask that the council votes against the MU order for the police raises. And also, since we were talking about budgeting, just to reiterate that both the chief and the deputy chief are in the top 5 top paid city employees, and that half of the top 20 top paid city employees are police. I also would like the city council to vote for the ceasefire resolution next meeting. I know some councilors feel like it doesn't concern Greenfield residents, but it does, as stated by some of the previous comment givers. Thank you.
Thank you. John Anhalt?
Hey, good evening, John Anhalt, Precinct 6, Greenfield. Just want to, add my voice to others already stated. I want to say good job to the council and to the mayor for holding the police accountable starting this year, and agree that council should vote no on the MOU for raises to Haig and Gordon. As far as the school budget, I agree with the previous statements of unified arts. It's part of being well-rounded for a student body. I was an athlete, not everybody is. People need to be able to pursue all the vocations, and it helps people grow all the way around. So unified arts need to be funded, same as sports. So again, we've talked a lot about perhaps the administration's getting bloated. Perhaps we need to look at a superintendent's union or merging with other school districts. But certainly there are many sports and many coaches that are funded. And so band, theater, these type of things need to have at least some funding for children who want to pursue those activities. And finally, I agree with those who've stated that we should take some time and look a little bit closer at the dual stream portion of this proposal. Very apprehensive about some of the things that have been stated on the single stream, trucking it to commercial facility out of state. We could be committing ourselves to something that could really add up in operating costs down the line. So take that very slowly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Amy Donovan?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Amy Donovan. I live on Green River Road in Precinct 1. I am a recycling professional and the program director at Franklin County Solid Waste Management District. I represent 19 Franklin County towns on the advisory board of the Springfield Materials Recycling Facility, or MRF. These are my comments as a Greenfield resident and not the official position of my employer or the MRF Advisory Board. I support the EPA grant, of course. We need those new trucks, and I appreciate the work of the DPW in keeping the current fleet going. But I urge you to edit the title of the grant so that it continues to refer merely to automated collection without specifying single stream. The EPA grant allows Greenfield to stay dual stream and still get the automated trucks. They don't seem to really mind, in what I've seen, which way it goes. So Greenfield is one of 66 Western Mass member towns of the dual stream Springfield MRF. This regional recycling facility is the only MRF in the state that is owned by the Mass DEP. This facility is overseen by an active advisory board that is made up of 3 representatives from each of the 4 Western Mass counties. This local facility was created for our towns. It was created for us to have model recycling programs, and we do. Because of the favorable contract that the advisory board negotiates, dual stream will cost Greenfield an estimated $40,000 less per year than single stream. The net fee for February 2024 for the MRF is down to only $33 per ton. Compare that to the about $70 or $80 for single stream. Contrary to what Mayor DeSorger was told recently, Greenfield has not had any loads rejected from the Springfield MRF. The Springfield MRF loves Greenfield's nice, clean loads of recyclables. If Greenfield switches to single stream, the city will be paying an average of $30 more per ton to truck materials to a privately owned facility, where 10% more of the material will be contaminated and sent to a landfill.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay, let me finish my one sentence. Greenfield currently sends 3 tractor trailer loads of recyclables per week to the MRF. The single stream MRF in Berlin, Connecticut is 150 miles round trip, which is twice the distance to the Springfield MRF. This switch would emit at least 26% more greenhouse gases,
Excuse me, I'm
all
sorry,
for the
your time-
result of
excuse me,
recycling less.
Your time is
Okay,
up.
thank you. Thank you.
Devorah Rose? Devorah Rose?
Okay. Hi there. My name is Devorah Rosenberg, although only part of it appears. I live on Madison Circle in Greenfield. I have a few things I'd like to say, although I've written them.
I'm sorry, could you speak up just a little bit? We're having a little trouble
Sure.
hearing you.
I have utilized writing to city councilors about a number of these opinions, but I thought it would be good to come on tonight. First of all, I want to thank all the people who are willing to be on the city council. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a lot of work. I'm really pleased at how things are going forward in a lot of ways. Secondly, I am absolutely against the raises in pay for the police department. There are a number of reasons. They're all pretty obvious. Next is the waste situation. I also would love to see us take a while to weigh things. Getting the grant is important. It's amazing we've kept those trucks going so long, but let's be careful about moving from our Springfield recycling place elsewhere. And finally, I want to address the people who want to see a ceasefire resolution. So I don't know how many of you are closely involved with anybody in Israel or Gaza, but I talk to my cousins in Israel almost every day. Do you realize what Hamas did to the hostages? Do you know that on the news every day in Israel?
That's fucking propaganda, I'm sorry.
I
Sorry, let-
give total respect to the people who want to pass the ceasefire, and I would request that you give me the same respect. Okay? Those hostages, the women, they don't even know how many are pregnant from rape at this point. There was a ceasefire, and on October 7th, terrorists, not Palestinians, but the terrorists of Hamas attacked. Okay, this is why I don't talk about this much, because it's a, I'm so sorry. I will write to the city council and
Excuse me, please, everyone, let's allow the speaker to finish her thought. We've given the time for everyone else. Let's please allow the speaker to finish her thought. Please continue.
thank you. There was a ceasefire. It was October 7th. It was broken by Hamas, which is a group of terrorists, which, if you are Palestinian, according to my friends who have lived in Gaza, when they knock on your door and ask to put a tunnel under your house, you have two answers. You can say yes, and they let you live, or you can say no, and you die. Those people, those Palestinian people, have been prisoners of Hamas. Who has provided electricity and water? I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I can't do this. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Israel is a charity organization.
David Mascaratolo?
Good evening. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I am going to speak as the chair of the Public Safety Commission. I've decided that I'll use my public 3 minutes to bring the council some updates on public safety. I want to thank Mayor Disorder for her communication to the Public Safety Commission over the last few weeks. And I want to say that, and I think I can speak for the 4 other public safety commissioners, that we look forward to working with both the fire and police departments moving forward like we have in the past. We also feel transparency is extremely important. I know the other 4 members of the commission would agree with me, and we're committed to build trust with the public. We are presently working on finishing up the first ever Public Safety Commission process and procedure on investigating public complaints that we receive. We feel that it's very important for the Public Safety Commission to have written documentation and processes and procedures. So when the 4 of us move on with our lives and new people fill the commission, that they have some direction and some order on how to do things. And most importantly, doing investigations on complaints isn't something that should be taken lightly. It should be done with experience, and it should be done with some base process and procedure. Not that it can't change as the commission changes, but this is a first ever baseline, and we're really proud of working on this, and we hope to have this completed over the course of the next few months. We will be dedicating a lot of time on next week Public Safety Commission meeting on that, so we hope people join that. We always have and welcome public comment at our meetings, and we look forward to moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair Mascarotolo, and I want to say you're welcome by invitation to come to this council anytime, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Chair.
Ursa Scherer?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Ursa Scherer. I live on Madison Circle in Precinct 6. I'm a Jewish resident of Greenfield. I'd like to offer an appreciation, a reflection, and a call to action. An appreciation for each member of the council. I have great respect for everyone who runs for a public office, whether our politics align or don't, especially knowing that some folks are here and sick. A reflection that as this conversation has unfolded today, we have heard about community safety. We have heard about infrastructure and environmental impact. We have heard about children and education. All of those things are interconnected in Greenfield, in Massachusetts, across New England, throughout the United States, all the way to Palestine. I am here to call for a ceasefire. Since this meeting started, 10 more children have died based on the statistical average by the World Health Organization. 1 child in Palestine is dying every 10 minutes, being killed. They are joining 13,000 or more children already dead. Every child was somebody's everything. I'm making my comment while my own 8-year-old sleeps next to me, safe and healthy. And his life is as deep and profound to me as every life being lost and taken in Palestine. We have an opportunity now to use our voice to call for ceasefire. Whatever else there is always de-escalation, and it is our moral imperative here. My deep hope is that at the next City Council meeting, we take up that conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lev Ben Ezra?
Hi, thank you so much. Lev Ben Ezra, Precinct 4 here in Greenfield. I would like to speak to 2 things. First, I strongly encourage the Greenfield City Council to pass a ceasefire resolution. Others before me have spoken much more impactfully on this issue than I can, so I'll be brief on this matter. But I do believe that a City Council vote has potential beyond symbolism and is important. We all have a responsibility to do what we can and a little bit more when confronted with violence and injustice such as this. Please, at the next meeting, pass a ceasefire resolution. Second, I am incredibly relieved that former Chief Haig is no longer in the employ of the city and no longer mismanaging the Greenfield Police Department. The MOU put in place by the former mayor to increase the pay of the chief and deputy chief was inappropriate and has furthered the mistrust between the residents and taxpayers of Greenfield and the Greenfield Police Department. While Mayor DeSorger asked you to vote your conscience, I will be more direct. Vote no on the MOU. Lastly, I greatly appreciate the mayor's assessment that there is need for stability in the department, and I am really appreciative and thank you to Interim Chief Dodge for helping to steady the ship at this time. And as a resident, I believe that in appropriate time, it is important that there is a thoughtful and inclusive search, providing an opportunity for the community to weigh in and consider what is needed from our police department and what is needed to make our community safe, and to select a chief that leads us in that direction, whether an internal or external candidate at that time. Thank you, and thank you to all the counselors.
Thank you. GOC?
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Gio. I live in Greenfield on Prospect Ave. I just wanted to echo what many of my fellow community members have said and ask that the council members support the upcoming ceasefire resolution for Greenfield. Not only is it imperative that we use our voices to stand against genocide, it's essential that we demonstrate support for our Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim community members at this time, especially considering that there has been a 200% rise in violence against Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim people in the US. You have an opportunity to be on the right side of history. I encourage you to make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke Laurel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Laurel. I live on Coleraine Street in Greenfield. Regarding the call for a ceasefire resolution, two council members, your constituents tonight have so clearly expressed their wishes that Greenfield, as a city, call for a ceasefire, and not accurately representing that would be a failure of your position as representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Sadie Sherberg?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Hi, my name is Sadie Sherberg, and I'm a resident of Montague, Massachusetts, but I work in Greenfield. To echo what many others have spoken about so far tonight, I'm here to implore you to pass the ceasefire resolution for Greenfield. I work as a bookseller, I work as a theater, I work as a cultural worker, and I love the bookstores, libraries, venues, and cultural sites in Greenfield and Franklin County. With that in mind, I want to bring specific attention to the cultural genocide happening in Gaza and the West Bank, accelerating the stranglehold on Palestinian cultural life that Israel has been exacting for the last 75 years. Schools, universities, mosques, and churches are being targeted and leveled on a daily basis, with bombs paid for with our tax dollars. In the Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank, the Freedom Theater was raided multiple times and their staff killed, tortured, and arrested under so-called administrative detention without cause or trial for months on end. With that in mind, I think it's really, really important to just look deep inside you, and I wouldn't want to have that blood on my hands. I think at this point, the blood is kind of in our hands. It's with our taxpayer dollars, and I really implore you, vote for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, Eli Smith?
Hello, my name's Eli. I live in Turners Falls, but I work here in Greenfield, and I shop here. I do a lot of things here in Greenfield. I'm happy to see so many people turn out in support of a resolution for a ceasefire. I'm here to talk about that as well. As the one person mentioned, like, knowing people in so-called Israel, I would like to speak about my friend who is currently living in the West Bank in Palestine and the struggles that he has to go through, that he has to see on a daily basis of Israeli settlers causing insane terror within his neighborhoods, with his friends and family being at risk of being murdered by Israeli settlers on a daily basis. I just want the counselors here to know that that is the reality on the ground in the West Bank. Gaza is far worse, and to address some of the people who may think Greenfield does not have anything to do with Palestine or Gaza, I would like to say that every taxpayer in the United States sends an immense amount of money to Israel to do this genocide, not to mention the weapons that are all made in America being dropped on children in Gaza, on mothers, on fathers, on babies. And I just want everyone to know that we all have a hand in it. The military-industrial complex in this country has its fingers in every corner. We have military contractors in this city and all over the country who are making weapons for the U.S. government and that are sold across the world to do horrific things like kill 30,000 Palestinians in a few months. If you do not think this is genocide, you are on the wrong side of history, and people will look back on the City Council of Greenfield and say, what were you doing when 30,000 plus Palestinians were being murdered by U.S. weapons in the Israeli state? Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Burge.
Maria Burge, Garfield Street, Greenfield. First of all, I'd like to thank Mastrotolo, how do you pronounce that? Anyways, Councillor, for having the courage to address an issue that concerns a lot of people. I'd like to also thank Councillor Minhas and Toronzo for expanding on why we have those concerns and encourage people to go to the subcommittee meetings for the Ways and Means when they do discuss, the budgets. On a lighter note, I'd like to invite all of Greenfield's seniors to apply for the Jenin L. Bascom Scholarship. We're giving them out. I love to give money to kids. I love to read all their essays. So please. And the last thing, I'd like to congratulate Chief Dodge and look forward as a public safety commissioner to work closely with him to change the perception of the police department. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm going to read this right. Max Webb.
Hi, my name is Max Webb. I live in Greenfield on Elm Street. I am originally from Houston, Texas. I moved to Greenfield in 2020 and have loved living here. This is my first city council meeting. What brought me here was to ask you for a ceasefire, but I have had the privilege to listen to all of you speak so passionately about things that you care about, specifically the children and schools, and being trans, being from Texas, seeing throughout the news trans children dying in bathrooms and getting beaten, and knowing that I could come to Massachusetts and that it's not that, and like that, it's not as violent and there is progress, and just at a baseline, you are not pushing a rock up a hill to make change. You are, starting from just an easier place than Texas. And while you can't, our voice isn't as large as the state and the United States or America. Wow, off the cuff. What I'm trying to say is you don't know what the budget can do and can't do, but what we can do right now is to show our kids that we are on the right side of history. We can pass something. We can stand up for people And I want to see that as somebody new to Massachusetts, that I can start pushing the rock, not uphill, but from like flat ground. And I hope that you all take that into consideration, that your kids are watching this too. Thanks.
Thank you, Max, and please come back. Wendy Goodman.
Why is it doing that? Jesus.
Hi, Wendy Goodman, Green River Road, Precinct 9. I wasn't going to say anything tonight, and I was really enjoying this meeting. I want to commend you all. It feels so different. Just, it feels like we're all in this together. And I've listened a lot. I've listened to everything, and I've been very touched by the eloquence and the wisdom in our community. That said, and I don't have a side here, but I'm very distressed that the one person that spoke in support of Israel was shouted down. So please, let us move forward and let us listen to each other and be willing to know that there are multiple points of view on any situation. And I appreciate the passion, but we have to start listening to each other and validating each other, because we're all hurting and we all want our peace, and we all have a piece of the truth. So on that note, I thank you again for your service, for being willing to serve, and for being here. And I don't even have to say it to the mayor and to our chief. We're on the right road. Let's stay there. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy, and that seems like a good note to end our public comment for tonight. So we'll close that, and we are approaching 2 hours, so I'm assuming the council would like to take a break. Yes, we'll take a 5-minute break. We're going to bring this meeting back to order.
Do you want me to check who's online?
That's okay, we can.
Yes.
I guess that's a good idea.
Counselor Golub, can you acknowledge that you are still online, please?
I am still online.
Counselor Bullock, can you acknowledge you are still online?
I'm here.
Vice President Gilmore?
I'm here also.
Okay, thank you.
We will move to our public hearing. This is Counselor Toronzo.
All right, in accordance with Home Rule Charter, the Greenfield City Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at John's on Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and Zoom to receive public input on the following. Transfer $18,179 from general fund bond premiums to general fund principal paydowns account. Transfer $214,000 from water enterprise bond premiums fund to water principal paydowns account. Transfer $145,155 from sewer enterprise bond premiums fund to sewer principal paydowns account. Transfer $4,282 from GSET enterprise bond premiums fund to GSET debt service account. Transfer $54,904.18 from city's reserve fund to police permanent salaries account in accordance with the MOUs between the City of Greenfield Police Chief Robert Haig and Police Deputy Chief William Gordon. The City Council may consider the same on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at Johnstown Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and Zoom. Yeah, I think that closes it out.
Great, I will open this public hearing at 8:29 p.m. If anyone wishes to speak to this, they can sign up. I don't hear anyone, so we will move to the second reading. Councilor Toronzo.
Point of order, do we have to close the public hearing?
I think after the second reading.
Oh, after the second reading. Okay, my bad. All right. Transfer $18,179 from general fund bond premiums to general fund principal paydowns account. Transfer $214,000 from water enterprise bond premiums fund on water principal paydowns account. Transfer $145,155 from sewer enterprise bond premiums fund to sewer principal paydowns account. Transfer $4,282 from GSET enterprise bond premiums fund to GSET debt service account. Transfer $54,904.18 from city's reserve fund to police permanent salaries account in accordance with the MOUs between the City of Greenfield Police Chief Robert Haig and Police Deputy Chief William Gordon.
Excellent. I will close this public hearing at 8:30 PM. And we will move on to motions. Number 2 is council authorization of police officers for 2024 elections on page 22. Could we have someone read that order? Councilor Toronto?
You want me to read? Order number FY 24-064. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council, as required by the Votes Act, Section 72, assign a sufficient number of police officers, up to 2, to our polling location, Greenfield High School Gymnasium, for all elections and primaries held in calendar year 2024, and authorize the city clerk in coordination with the police chief or a police department designee to assign specific officers for this purpose. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And I will turn this over to Clerk Scott.
So the new Votes Act that was passed 2 years or so ago requires now that the council vote to have police officers at the polling place. We have always had to have police officers at the polling place by law, but now you all have to vote it. So please vote yes.
Excellent summary. Do we have any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councillor Golub,
Yes.
Councillor Gordon,
Yes.
Councillor Mastrotoro,
Yes.
Councillor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Councillor Perry,
Yes.
What are they asking about?
Councillor Minhas,
Yes.
I know.
Councillor Toronto.
Yes.
I figured it's right here.
Marcia, can you mute yourself, please? Councillor Bottomley,
Yes.
the motion passes.
We move on to approve presidential primary election warrant for March 5th, which is on page 23. If we have someone who would like to read that motion. Councilor
Sure.
Gordon.
I'll give Mike a break. Order number FY 24-062, the City Council moved that it be ordered. The Greenfield City Council hereby approves the attached presidential primary election warrant for March 5th, 2024, and further authorizes the City Council President to sign said warrant on behalf of the City Council. Majority vote required.
Even more fun, you actually have to read the whole back of the page too.
There's a back. Oh, didn't know what I was volunteering for. I have to read like every word. Great. Warrant for presidential preference primaries, Franklin, SS. To either of the constables of the city of Greenfield. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said city who are qualified to vote in primaries to vote at the Greenfield High School Gymnasium at 21 Bar Avenue for precincts 1 through 9. On Tuesday, the 5th day of March 2024, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following purpose: to cast their votes in the presidential primaries for the candidates of political parties for the following offices: presidential preference. What? For this Commonwealth. Oh, wait. State Committee Man, Hampshire, Franklin, Worcester Senatorial District. State Committee Woman for the Hampshire, Franklin, and Worcester Senatorial District. Town Committee for the City of Greenfield. Hereof fail not, and make return of this warrant with your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting. Given under our hands this 21st day of February, 2024.
Excellent. We need a second.
Second.
I'll open this up for discussion. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Oh, sorry.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Can someone please explain why we are voting State Committee Man and State Committee Woman and why these roles have genders? Perhaps, I don't know if anyone can, but
Clerk Scott.
The language is in the Constitution for the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that would mean that the Constitution would need to be changed to make the language proper. And also, just to point out, it is not a typo. It is a town committee for the city of Greenfield. It's not a typo.
thank you.
Any more discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote.
What is this? Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrototoro,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo.
Yep.
Does the president wish to vote?
Yes and yes.
The motion passes.
Moving on to mayor's appointments. Counselor Golub?
Could I request that one of my committee members of A&O read this, please? Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Gordon.
I'm happy to read it. Order number FY 24-059. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council, pursuant to Charter Section 2-10, affirms the following appointments by the mayor as follows. Conservation Commission, Emily Boss, alternate to full member, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Planning Board, Jeff Sauser, Peter McIver, Amy McMahon, full member to alternate, terms to expire December 31st, 2027. GSET Board of Commissioners, Melody Goodwin, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Planning and Construction, John Schultes, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Agricultural Commission, Elizabeth Nett, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Denise Leonard, term to expire December 31st, 2026. David Johnson, term to expire December 31st, 2025. Commission on Disability Access, Amy McKenzie, term to expire December 31st, 2026. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a report from committee on this?
This is, if I'm recalling correctly, this passed unanimously. One of my committee members wants to verify that, I'd be grateful.
Excellent, we have verification.
Thank you.
I'll open this up for discussion. Any discussion on these appointments? Counselor Gordon.
Just a quick comment that I really appreciate all these folks volunteering for this. I have worked with some of these people. I know most of them. I think these are all fantastic appointments, and I'm really excited to move these forward.
Excellent. Any more comments? Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrototoro.
I had a girl. Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The next order, FY 24-03A2, without objection, I'd like to remove this from the agenda until it needs to be brought back. Hearing no objections, we will remove that from the agenda. The next resolution in support of paint stewardship legislation was under Counselor Wondolowski, so without objection, I'd like to move this to next month's agenda. Hearing none, we will, oh, yes, Counselor Gordon.
I actually do object to that. I think that we should move this forward and
go ahead and vote on it tonight. I think that we have all the information that we need.
If we could have someone read that. Page 43.
Sure. I guess. Order number FY 24-067. The City Council moves that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council approves the attached resolution titled "A Resolution in Support of Paint Stewardship Legislation." Whereas landfill capacity in Massachusetts has rapidly declined and no new capacity is expected, and whereas the cost of hauling and disposal of waste materials has increased by over 30% in the last 5 years and are expected to continue increasing at similar rates, and whereas a paint stewardship law would create a convenient collection network to properly manage all architectural paint from business and residential sectors and substantially decrease inappropriate discarding of paint, which is a toxic substance that can cause harmful environmental pollution. And whereas a paint stewardship law will divert paint from waste disposal to its best and highest use, whereby there will be a small but real decrease in the total waste going to landfills. And whereas paint stewardship laws have been demonstrated as an effective means of diverting paint from landfills in our neighboring states of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, and New York. And whereas a law supporting discarding of latex and oil-based paints at participating retail stores and transfer stations has strong support from constituents. And whereas municipal waste management systems were established a century ago to manage wastes like ashes, food scraps, and horse manure, rather than the wide array of manufactured goods, including paint, which dominate today's municipal waste. And whereas the Massachusetts Municipal Association passed a resolution which supports statewide producer responsibility legislation in January 2019, now therefore be it resolved that the Greenfield City Council urges the Massachusetts General Court and the leadership of both chambers to view the pending paint stewardship legislation favorably and take whatever actions are necessary to pass the paint stewardship bills into law, including voting favorably out of any and all committees. A paint stewardship law will begin relieving municipalities and consumers of ever-rising solid waste management costs, significantly reduce a toxic waste substance going to landfills, and decrease greenhouse gases generated by the paint industry by 4%. Majority vote required.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Second?
It's open for discussion. Councillor Golub?
Hey there. I want to speak actually to the importance of, or to address concerns that I've heard from colleagues and here that I agree with partially around resolutions, and say I think this is an obvious, this resolution is obviously in support of the environment and public health, and it's something we should support. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that I understand why so many of us do not love resolutions, that it is not our favorite tool. We want to be passing laws, we want to be passing motions that actually have tangible impact in our community. And I understand it's not my favorite tool either. So I just want to acknowledge that if that's going through folks' heads. But especially in a state in which we have limited home rule power, I think that we do have a responsibility to use whatever tool, to use all the tools in our arsenal. We don't have a lot of tools with which to make change. And even though this is not my favorite tool either, the resolution, I do think that we have a responsibility to use all of our tools. And so I hope that folks here will vote yes to support the environment, to support public health, and all of the reasons that were included in the resolution. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Any other comments on this? Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, I just want to comment that to me this is kind of a no-brainer, recognizing all the reasons that resolutions are an imperfect tool, as Councillor Golub said. But this really is something that impacts our community directly, and it is something that came directly from the community. The request to pass this resolution and decreasing toxic waste, putting less toxic waste into landfills, urging our state delegation to take this up and make sure that there's action at the state level, to me is a good use of the resolution power, and I'm definitely happy to vote for this.
Anyone else speaking on this? Oh, yes, Counselor Perry.
It just strikes me, this is the first time, I glanced at it earlier, but it's it just strikes me that we're gonna be making a resolution vote next month about something really tough. And here this month, we're gonna make we're voting on a resolution that, you know, it's important, but, you know, is it really gonna mean anything? Is it gonna mean anything?
Can I answer that question?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't propose the original resolution. I will give that caveat, but I do think that coming together as a community to reach out to our state senators and representatives and to say that as a community, we want them to push this forward does have power. And I've spoken with our representatives enough times about enough issues to know that the more they hear from both individuals and communities collectively, the more power they feel behind them to push this at the state level. So will it pass the legislature tomorrow? Probably not, but it can't hurt.
Counselor Bullock?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that I will be supporting this resolution. And I think that I don't feel like resolutions are useless tools. As someone who's worked on statewide policy, I think it's really impactful when a governing body has a unified voice that they can send to our representatives and on a local or on a state level or on a federal level to say we're unified on this and we want you to move this forward. It means something to our community. So I'll be supporting this resolution.
Thank you. Any more comments? Seeing none, roll call vote?
Counselor Golub?
Yes.
Counselor Gordon?
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro?
Yes.
Counselor Bullock?
Yes.
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Minhas?
Yes.
Counselor Toronto?
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Moving on, I believe all the rest of these are Ways and Means. Counselor Toronzo.
I don't have this out of order. All right, order number FY 24058. City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner, in order to transfer $18,179 from general fund bond premiums, moves that it be ordered to transfer the amount of $18,179 from general fund bond premiums to general fund principal paydowns. Account number 0100710059991. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second?
Cool.
Report from committee?
This was unanimously positive.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote?
Counselor Golub?
Yes.
Counselor Gordon?
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro?
Yep.
Counselor Bullock?
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Minhas?
Yes.
Counselor Toronto?
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Order number FY 24052. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner, in order to transfer $214,000 from bond premiums to water principal paydown, moves that it be ordered to transfer the amount of $214,000 from Water Enterprise Bond Premiums Fund 1627 to water principal paydowns account number 61007100599991. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second? Counselor Gordon?
I'm just curious about the fact that this says upon the recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner and not Mayor DeSorger, if there's a need for an update
There was,
to the language.
because this is now, it's just the timeline.
Yeah.
This was a financial order from December, and then we had the first reading, and now we have the second reading. It's just, that's all.
But that doesn't cause us any problems putting it through. Just wanted to check. Thank you.
Report from committee?
Unanimous positive.
Any more discussion on this? Seeing none? Oh, wait a minute. Counselor Mastritar? Oh, we're good. Roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrotero,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Order number FY 24053, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Rita Gardner, in order to transfer $145,155 from bond premiums to sewer principal paydown, moves that it be ordered to transfer the amount of $145,155 from sewer enterprise bond premiums, Fund 1627, to sewer principal paydowns, account number 60007100599991, majority vote required.
Second.
Report from committee.
Unanimous, positive.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrotero,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Order number FY 24054, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Rita Gardner, in order to transfer $4,282 from bond premiums to GSET debt service, moves that it be ordered to transfer the amount of $4,282 from GSET enterprise bond premiums, Fund 1627, to GSET debt service, account number 6500710059166657, majority vote required.
Is that a second from Councilor Mastrotero? Report from committee.
Unanimous, positive.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrotero,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Order number FY 24-055. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, in order to fund an MOU for Police Chief and Deputy Police Chief. Move that it be ordered that the City Council, in accordance with the signed memorandum of understanding between the City of Greenfield and Chief Robert Haig, and the signed memorandum of understanding between the City of Greenfield and Deputy Chief William Gordon, appropriate the sum of $54,904.18 and transfer said amount from the city's reserve fund to police permanent salaries, line item 0100.2100.5111, to fund the first year cost items. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Report from committee.
Unanimously negative.
And I will open this up for discussion.
Call the question.
Yes. Oh, call the question. So we will vote to call the question. Roll call vote.
Counselor Golub,
No.
Counselor Gordon,
No.
Counselor Mastrotero,
No.
Counselor Bullock,
No.
Vice President Gilmore.
Sorry, can I clarify? Are we voting on the motion or are we voting to call the
Voting to
question?
call the question.
Yes.
You want to withdraw that motion? Can you withdraw it?
I withdraw that.
So we're back to open discussion. Does anyone want to, any counselors want to speak to this?
Minhas.
Counselor Minhas.
I would just like to say, I think it is important for the public to know that the vote we will have today corresponds with the change in administration, corresponds with the previous election. I think it was a resounding opinion from the public to move in a certain direction, and today we're going to go forward with that direction. I mean, here we are trying to scrounge around a couple $1,000s here, a couple $1,000s here, like a third world country, and people are being paid ridiculous amounts of money. So this is going to be voted no, but I think the public should know that we are on their side and we care about their money and their taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other counselors? Counselor Perry.
For me, it was just an issue of good faith. You know, this could have came up from the previous mayor to the previous city council. She had 2 months to bring it up and talk about it and in good faith make the case. And, you know, we've all known what's been going on for the last few years, and it's the rank and file cop, the cop out in the street who's been carrying the load for the last 3 years, taking the abuse, taking all the stuff that because of politics and because of leadership of their department, and they're the ones that paid the price, and they're the ones that should be getting money if anybody gets money. And so, you know, and I heard the comment that the council was grandstanding, political grandstanding by even talking about this, and the grandstanding came because the MIU was made with no faith at all. And so kind of it just puts us in a position of, you know, either being the bad guy or standing on principle and voting on conscience. And I'll be voting my conscience.
Thank you. Councilor Toronto.
I just want to say I was able to hear a little bit more about where these increases came from, like the idea of them. And while I respect the place where these were to come from, and this is taking parties aside, the positions is where I'm going at it on here. While I understand them, I as a taxpayer disagree on the basis of where this is coming from. And I know that there's a pay disparity. There are some that are represented by union and some that are not. That happens in a lot of departments, in a lot of places. And I will just say on the merits, I don't think that going back to the comparison of this with the Quinn bill, when that was when it stopped being funded by the state, which used to reimburse us half of the Quinn bill incentive, the educational incentive for patrol officers, for union officers, and in supervisory unions as well. We took it on 100% more recently, which to me was, maybe unpopular opinion, a bad negotiation because we just don't have the money for it. And I would look forward to the state, I know they're talking about it again, refunding the 50% portion that the municipalities used to get for educational incentives for police. And I really hope that they pass it so that it will offset our negotiated cost already. And I understand that some of these were kind of to be in comparison, to be on the same level, so that the pay, I mean, I use this slightly, pay disparities were a little bit different. And of course the optics are terrible, which doesn't help. But I think there's another way around it, and I think that it should be something that the new administration, as Councilor Perry was saying, this could have been brought forth a lot sooner, and maybe should have been. And it wouldn't have looked the same way. And as just a slight second, I would definitely be taking out Part B to begin with, because that saying you get an incentive for not having to actually perform the work, that was just bunk to begin with and a bad negotiation. But that being said, yeah, I'm voting no on this regardless.
Councilor Gordon.
Yeah, talking about the Quinn bill, I think the Quinn bill came from a good place. I agree with that. I wish that was incentive that was available to all municipal employees. I don't think that should be limited to police officers. But if we want to incentivize pursuing, further education that will help people do their jobs for the city, great. The Quinn bill was definitely not intended to reward people for degrees that they got 25 years ago. And to me, this particular deal was just dirty and underhanded. And the intentions were not coming from a good place. So we've certainly heard resoundingly from the community that they want us to vote it down, and I will be voting no.
Councilor Bullock.
Yeah, I wanted to add a point that Councilor Gordon just brought up, which is that when we hired these folks, I'm assuming that they had these degrees, and the Quinn bill was meant to incentivize people to get degrees, which is not the case. Also, I think we're talking about here what would pay for multiple teachers in the school department. And so I just, once again, as budget season is on my mind, because it's coming up very shortly, remind us that when we get to these tough decisions, talking about salaries is a hard thing because people are attached to them. But that's what really we're faced with here. And our police department got a lot of ARPA funding from our previous mayor, and other municipalities use that ARPA funding. Many municipalities use that ARPA funding to bolster the lowest paying municipal employees and direct facing municipal employees at the lowest pay. We did none of that. And, so aside from the problems, and also I think it was 15 years ago or so, they repealed the Quinn bill, and Western Mass communities were very hard hit by that when the state pulled the funding. It's not like we just have that deficit within, we heard about taxes and public comment today. We don't just have that deficit to cover when state funding gets pulled. And yeah, last I'll just say, I'm obviously a no on this. I can't really fathom why two public servants would enter into this agreement when they did, for the amounts they did, under the circumstances that they did. That's very concerning. It feels unethical. And so I'm a hard no on this one.
Do we have any more comments? Any more discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote?
Counselor Golub?
No.
Counselor Gordon?
No.
Counselor Mastrotoro?
No.
Counselor Bullock?
No.
Counselor Gilmore?
No.
Counselor Perry?
No.
Counselor Minhas?
No.
Counselor Toronto?
Nope.
Counselor Bottomley?
No.
The motion is defeated unanimously.
Order number FY 24-061. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, to expend EPA Swiffer grant in the amount of $2,055,330, move that it be ordered that pursuant to MGL Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council approve expenditures in the amount of $2,055,330 from the Environmental Protection Agency Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant for the purpose of transforming its manually collected dual stream recycling program to an automated single stream collection program. Majority vote required.
We have a second.
Second.
Report from committee first.
Unanimous positive.
So I'll open this up for discussion. Counselor Gordon?
I would like to propose an amendment to this motion, and this is the first time I've done this, so please tell me if I do it wrong. I want to move that we amend the motion to strike out all the words after Swiffer grant. So we would strike the words "for the purpose of transforming its manually collected dual stream recycling program to an automated single stream collection program." And thus the original motion would read, pursuant to MGL Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council approve expenditures in the amount of $2,055,330 from the Environmental Protection Agency Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling, or SWIFR grant, period. I will say a couple of things about
So
this.
we need a second on that.
Second.
I want to mention first that I had consulted our parliamentarian on this issue, and his recommendation was that this motion cannot be amended and that it's a straight up yes or no vote. So we should take that into consideration from our parliamentarian.
Thank
Counselor
you.
Gordon.
Yeah, I understand that. I spoke with a lawyer today who believes that we can amend this, as we can amend any motion. I'm not sure of the basis on which the parliamentarian said that we can't, but we seem to have conflicting legal opinions on that. I know there's been a belief in the past that we can't amend financial orders, but my understanding is that this is not actually a financial order, the way that the other things on our agenda tonight were that would require first and second readings and a public hearing. And yeah, I looked, for several hours. I certainly didn't look exhaustively, but I couldn't find any basis for the idea that we can't amend this motion. Would you like me to explain the reasoning behind the proposed amendment?
Actually, let's go around and see if there's any more discussion on this first. Are there any other counselors that would like to speak to the amendment?
My hand is raised.
Yes, Councilor Golub.
I have a lot to say, but I initially want to speak to the legality of the amendment. I had heard that there was talk that it would be against MGL to amend this, and so I called the DLS Municipal Finance Law Bureau, and I spoke with the chief of that. And he said he was actually really surprised and confused about why there's talk about MGL saying that we couldn't amend the motion. He said there's definitely no MGL saying, Massachusetts general law, saying that we can't amend the motion, or that we have to approve the expenditure of a grant in a certain way. He said that there is MGL, that Massachusetts general law, that in state statute that applies to other types of financial orders, but the approval of the expenditure of a grant is not subject to MGL. He said that what MGL, so I'm reading my notes from our conversation. What MGL does say is that we must expend the grant funds in accordance with the stipulation of the grants, and that if we were to strike that language, we would have to, by law, expend the funds in accordance with the grant. Because what we're doing is we're striking additional language. He also said that he has never seen an occasion in which a council accepts a grant in violation of ordinance, and he said that because we have dual stream by ordinance, it could become a legal fight, and so that amending the order was a really smart idea. And so that's the legal opinion that I'm getting. And so I'd be curious what Massachusetts general law is being cited. I love our parliamentarian, but I also trust the chief of the Municipal Finance Law Bureau. And I just want to add a couple of other things. I feel like I've been in a morass with this. I am in a recycling purgatory, trying to figure out the best thing to do here. And I really wish I wasn't in support of this amendment, to be honest. I wish I didn't feel like I had a fiduciary and legal and ethical responsibility to support us doing a bit more discernment on this, but I do. I had a long talk with Marlo. I trust Marlo inherently, implicitly, and I told him this last week after talking to him for an hour and a half that I wanted to let this and was hoping to let this issue go. We received new information about the long-term financial impacts that this could possibly have for Greenfield. And just this past weekend, and I think that we have a financial responsibility to spend just a little bit more time discerning how the process is laid out, whether we do dual stream or single stream. I heard several people give public comments saying we could push this down the road. We can't. We have to go ahead with some form, with the grant in some form very soon. So I am not proposing that, I'm not saying that we should push this down more than a month, but I do think that the council has a financial responsibility for the long-term financial impacts of this, and a legal responsibility given that There's legal uncertainty around the ability for us to basically change policy through a grant approval. And so I don't want to support this amendment because I want to be done with this conversation, to be quite honest. But I think that we have a responsibility to, and I want us very much to approve the funds tonight. I want very much to be able to vote yes on this. And so I'm hoping very much that this amendment will be approved, because if it is not approved, and it includes language that has us going single stream, which may not be in accordance with ordinance, I think we need to discern that more. Then I honestly don't know what I'll do, because I want to vote yes, but I don't know that I can vote yes on the order as it is written. And I'm sorry, and I'm grateful for the work that has gone into this. And I hope that I hope I'm communicating where I'm coming from with this, because I really appreciate the work that the department heads have put into this grant, and the mayor and everyone else.
Councilor Gilmore?
Yeah, so I feel the opposite. I've been on city council for a long time. We've never been able to change financial orders because that's a function of the executive. And the city council does not write grants. So if we pass this amendment, I don't know what that does to the grant. I don't know if that jeopardizes our chances of being able to move forward. I mean, I know it's obvious that we would have to change the ordinance, which we can do like within the space of a month or two. And that wouldn't be a big deal, but I don't have anyone sitting in front of me telling me with any legal authority that we're allowed to do this. And it has always been my understanding and our practice that we don't. And, I love Catherine and Rachel both, but I just can't take someone's word for it that we can do this, because that's never been my understanding. So I have to vote no on the amendment. I mean, unless we have a lawyer who can tell me that we're allowed to do this, I just don't feel like I can do that in good conscience.
Councilor Minhas?
I'm gonna say I agree with Sheila there. First off, it doesn't seem like it's something we can actually do. Second, I think this is just pushing the issue down further and further. I mean, let's be honest, we've grilled the DPW. No other department head has come out here and answered our questions meeting after meeting, hour after hour. Like, this is ridiculous. There's no financial incentive for them to want one way or the other. There's no, so I think it doesn't make sense for us to keep just kicking the can down the road. We need to make a decision, and it takes a lot of work to actually bring this to the city. This was a competitive process, as we have been told many times by the DPW. So let's not let this go to waste. So I will vote no on the amendment.
Councilor Gordon?
Thank you. I'd like to explain a little bit more where I'm coming from with this. Sounds like we've all been calling lawyers today. So I do feel confident in saying that I have legal advice, obviously not from an official city attorney, because the city council doesn't have one that we can call, but I do feel confident that we could amend this because it's not actually a financial order. I also want to be clear that the core of this motion is to approve expenditures from the grant, and I absolutely 100,000% want us to do that. My proposed amendment will not make a substantive change in that way. It will not prohibit us from approving the grant and being able to make expenditures. My concern is that, we do have an ordinance in place that specifies dual stream recycling. It doesn't use those exact words, but if you want to check me on this, it's Greenfield. In the Greenfield Code, it's Division 1, Part 3, Article 3, Section 372-24. Preparation for collection, preparation of materials for collection, essentially. My concern is, similar to what Councilor Golob named, if we adopt language that violates a city ordinance, it opens us up to a risk of legal action because essentially we're breaking our own law as a city. And people could take legal action around that. I'm not suggesting anyone do that. I think we all know that's the last thing Greenfield could possibly need right now. But I think that we have to take seriously that possibility, and that it's our responsibility as a council to make sure that our actions are not putting the city at legal risk. We have received a ton of community feedback. Folks want us to be very careful about this decision. As we know, I think people have raised valid concerns. But I want to be clear that the reason I'm proposing this amendment actually has nothing to do with the decision of single stream versus dual stream. I am not asking my fellow councilors to vote on single stream versus dual stream. I'm asking you to vote to make sure that we are on legally solid ground while we order new trucks and new carts and hire an educator and do all of the many things that need to happen as we get this grant going, regardless of which kind of recycling we choose, right? I also know that we've been talking about this for months. There are very good reasons why we can't just keep talking about it and we have to move forward. But I'm not comfortable approving language that specifies single stream given the potential legal risk. And I do believe that this amendment gives us plenty of space, all the space we need to get going with this grant, spend the money, and address the ordinance issues, and to do that in the right order and in the order that I think we legally have to do it. We all agree the grant needs to happen. We all agree that we want to buy the trucks and spend the money. And with this amendment, we can totally still do that.
Councillor Bullock.
Yeah, I have a question. I guess I'll direct it to you, President Bottomley, and maybe one of the other counselors can speak to it. But the amendment that was made to this language is just matching the current EPA language within the grant. Is that correct?
I don't think that's correct.
Can I
Councillor
clarify?
Gordon?
Yeah, so it doesn't change the language of the motion. It actually just shortens the language of the motion so that it strikes out all of the words after Swiffer grant, if you're looking at the motion.
Yep. Okay, I am gonna support this motion. I think that, you know, in my experience just last month in city council, there's often different interpretations of MGL, and so I feel that we sometimes interpret things in ways that are not necessarily the ways that other municipalities are interpreting or doing things. I 100% trust that if someone has called the state agency to find out how this is happening, that we can do it. And I also think if we're deleting language for approving an expenditure to make it align with our current ordinance and the current grant, that seems like a very safe amendment to support.
I would like to mention that the parliamentarian also had a conversation with a lawyer. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to speak for a very different reason why the language should stay as written, because I trust the work that was done by our professionals that we hire to do this work. And it's not just Director Warner, it's a team of people at the DPW. And although the title of the grant was changed, nothing within the grant was changed. The funding for this project to go forward was to convert to single stream, and that's what it pays for. So I believe the intent of what the mayor put forward, of what our DPW has put forward, is to convert to single stream, and it's an incredible achievement that they got over $2 million to do that. So I'm not for this amendment, and I'm for it going forward as written. Do we have more comments on this, the amendment?
So if we vote no on this amendment and go back to the original motion, that means we're voting for a single.
Yes.
Can't hear. Can you put on the mic, please?
And I would like to remind counselors too that we are on a time limit. This has been since October. If we vote this down, we most likely will lose $2 million from the federal government to do this. And I believe we've heard from Director Warner a lot. There are questionable statistics that have been put forward, and I believe it's been very frustrating to watch our employees treated that way because they put tremendous work in. And I'm speaking not on this motion, I'm speaking on 4 years of experience. Councilor Toronzo can tell you how many meetings we go through, extensive meetings with every single department head. That is a lot. And one of the most consistent people in all of those departments has been Director Warner, who's over and over again presented us with reliable, transparent information. So I just have to put out there that I totally trust him and his department. Councilor Bullock. Oh, I think you're muted.
Oh, am I still muted?
No, you're on.
Okay. I don't think we need to vote this down, and I don't think anyone needs to vote this down, even if we have completely differing views on this. That's not what this amendment is doing in my eyes. We are voting to approve expenditures for a grant, amending this to just say approving the expenditures for the EPA solid waste infrastructure for recycling grant does not decide that this goes dual or single stream. All it does is make it align with our current charter ordinance and allow for there to potentially be more discussion about this. I actually agree with you, President Bottomley, that there's some measure, and I think it's part of what I've been frustrated about tonight, of overreach that I think the council sometimes takes. And I think this is maybe one of those times where there's pieces of this grant that allow for education, that allow for public input. Those things can all still happen while we accept these expenditures. And we don't have to codify language that makes a decision on what those expenditures mean and how they're spent, whether it's dual or single stream, and don't have to conflict with city ordinance that we have written. So for me, this is not about voting single or dual stream. This is about voting to accept expenditures for a grant that we want, that our city department worked very hard for, and accept it in a way that does not put the city in a predicament of violating our charter, and also allows for decisions to be made if it's decided by the department that it's more beneficial to go with dual over single or vice versa.
Councilor Master Totaro?
I think we're making this a lot more complicated than it needs to be. We can vote this as written, and it could always be changed. There's nothing that says that we can't make our minds up down the road. I think the key is to get this behind us, get the money, get the equipment, and move on. It's already been discussed that this can be changed at any point. I want to, can I ask Marlo a question? Is that okay?
Do you have a specific question?
I just want him to confirm that this, in fact, at any point down the road, if we, as a city, decide after we receive this grant and we get this equipment, at any time down the road, if we decide we want to go back to dual stream with the equipment that is available to us, that can happen. Is that correct?
Director Warner?
Thank you. That's a good question. I think if you look at the grant application and the timeline of the grant, the 3 years, it is to my understanding EPA wants to sign the grant on March 1st. We cannot move forward unless we know which way we're going. When we put together the educational material, when we start having public hearing comments in meetings, and we start help educate the community if it is single stream. So we can't get 6 months into this and change our mind. We got to have a direction because the timeline is very tight. We have exactly 3 years from March 1st to implement this. Quick update, trucks are going to take up to a year. And if I may, Mr. President, comment on the ordinance.
Yes, please.
That's part of the grant. It's in the grant application. We cannot change, we will have to change the ordinance if we go to single stream, but the ordinance remains in place as we limp our dual stream trucks by, and then the ordinance change is timed out to when our new vehicles come in and we train the employees on the trucks. So we're not in violation of the ordinance starting tonight or March 1st. We're still going to be picking dual stream with our current vehicles for 1 year. So that gives us 1 year to develop the ordinance, and Athena's done a lot of work on that. I've already looked into it. We've done a lot of precursor work on that. I just wanted to clarify on the ordinance piece. Thank you.
Other questions? Oh, Councilor Toronzo.
It wasn't a question so much as, well, Councilor Master Totero kind of said one thing that I was going to point out. The other thing for this is, I agree, approving expenditure of something doesn't mean we're spending any of the money, which means we wouldn't be in violation of, we're not in violation of it until it happens, kind of as Director Warner just said. So we've got time to amend our ordinance. And of course, the elephant in the room is the single stream versus dual stream collection debate, which can continue down the road. After all of there's been, as President Bottomley said, there's been a lot of pieces of information floating around there that, to me, from reading all of the lot of pages and pages and pages, there's been a lot of cherry picking for certain purposes. And whether or not you agree with this form or not, there are certain facts that are just facts, and those are dollars. If we want to change back, or if we move to single stream, even if we don't, let's just say we move to dual stream, we don't have an extra $500,000 to run dual stream automated collection right now. We're getting asked by the schools to add this extra funding for things. We're asked every year for money for certain things. I know everybody knows we can't let $2 million go away, or else guess who's going to pay for it? We are. We're going to have to purchase these trucks with capital money, or hopefully not operating, or we're going to have to borrow it, pay interest on it. That goes against taxpayer dollars. Getting this grant, and while I understand the environmental objections to this or opinions on it, to be frank, all of these things are feelings. And they're not facts. Facts are dollars. Facts are, we cannot afford $500,000 right now. If in this conversation going forward, we can collectively figure out a way to raise that kind of funding, then I would encourage it, and I would encourage future talks. But while I understand the idea of shortening this motion down, so it kind of makes everybody feel a little bit better about it, I don't think it's a good precedent to set either. Trying to amend executive orders. We amend hours that the city council brings up that don't require like a public hearing, things like that. We have carte blanche over all of that. But I don't think that that's a good precedent to set. I also just think that it's kind of, trying to delay the inevitable. I think, like I said, regardless of feelings on how the collection, the distribution, like the cost is the only thing that is finite that we know, and it's just not tenable right now. It's just not. We don't have that kind of money to just add to our perpetual infrastructure.
Councillor Perry?
I just want to be very clear what I'm going to be voting on. So if we turn down the motion amendment and we vote on the original motion, that's, you said we're voting for single, but that, you're saying that's not really true. We still have time to decide whether it's going to be dual or single, even if we vote on the original thing tonight.
I think I said that the grant needs to be signed on March 1st, and we need to move forward. I don't feel we have a lot of time. 3 years, the first year sounds like a year, but there's an awful lot of work if the grant packet was researched. There's a great deal of time and work that we need to put into it. And like I said, whether it's single or dual stream, it's still a change. So I guess, for lack of better terms, it's kind of go time. We were awarded this grant back in September, October, somewhere in that time frame. I think the TBW team has gone above and beyond and given more information that was requested of us. We did real-time data with the trucks from fuel pump to depot back to the fuel pump. And I think that our numbers reflect what they reflect. I mean, I know there's been disagreement on numbers, but at the end of the day, I think it was very clear to me. I'm hearing long game wasn't looked at, and I'm afraid to say that I looked at long game first when this first came up. There's no way around not hiring another collector if we go to a dual stream. That's approximately $67,000 a year with fringe benefits. That's a forever cost. If in fact the $40,000 more to recycle is in play, we're already ahead of the game financially. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this, but I mean, we've looked at it upside down, sideways, every way you can. So that's all I have on that, if there's further questions.
Councillor Golub?
In a way, I want to echo what Director Warner is saying. I think that the idea that we need to figure out what we're doing now, and then this is why I'm saying, the decision. I'm not saying that we need more than a couple of weeks. I am saying, and I am talking about numbers. I am saying that I still have concerns about the long-term money, the long-term costs. This is not a feelings versus facts sort of thing, as was mentioned. I have concerns about the long-term costs, and there was information that was sent to us saying it's very possible that it would not be a short-term cost of $500,000. Whatever we do, if we do single stream, we have to go full in. If we decide in a couple of weeks, if we had that ability to go dual stream, we have to do that. And the idea that we can go halfway in, educate the community, switch from dual stream to single stream is just not realistic. And so I feel like I'm more of a, this is just a warning. I think that there is a bit more long-term costs that we need to look at that I'm concerned about. And if the council says I'm sorry, I'm sick and I wasn't planning to be here tonight, but I'm concerned about the long-term costs. If we do this, we have to go in, and the idea that we can just change halfway through is not realistic.
Councillor Master Tataro?
I'm not gonna, I don't want to get into the weeds either, but I'm gonna go with my gut here. As a new city councilor, I attended along with others, the MMA conference back in January. And the best part of that conference was networking. And I spoke to several city councilors, select board members, finance directors, DPW, heads of DPW. There was a few people there. And the first question I asked everybody is, what do you do for recycling, single or double stream? And the majority were single stream. And those that switched from double stream to single stream saw a tremendous increase in participation in recycling. And although there is some more contamination in single stream than double stream, the bottom line is there's more recycling and more usable recycling. And the few that maintain double stream, such as Long Meadow, it's hired out. It's private haulers that do it. So they spend a lot of money with doing that. So the net is a gain. The net is a gain. More people are recycling and there is more reusable. And plus, what the MRF doesn't do, that single stream facilities do, is they take the black plastic that you get from restaurants, takeout, etc. So that's thing one. Thing two, we have 6,178 units in town. When I say units, we have, whether it's single-family home, two-family home, 6,178 units that are eligible for trash pickup. Three-family homes or less, everything, four-family and up, you guys don't pick up trash or recycling. At $55 a cart, that's about $340,000 if we go to a stream, off the top. So I have absolute faith in Marlo and Sam Urkel, Athena, who's broken her ass to get this done. If she's our only grant writer, I believe, and she's got more grants to write and she's got more stuff to take care of. And I appreciate people being passionate about their concerns, but I have to say some of these passionate people have been on the verge of harassment, and my heart goes out to Marlo. This guy, I have complete faith and trust in him. We pay him to make these tough decisions, and if we do anything but vote yes on this, we run the risk of losing this grant, because I don't think anything is going to get done in time between now and March 1st. So there you have it, folks. That's my take. And I would be inclined to almost call the question. And if anybody wants to vote no, it's on you that we lose this money.
Councillor Tronso?
I think with all of the other points aside, I remember Director Warner coming to us, if it wasn't last month before, and saying, we need to have a direction. And that's the important part. So even still with in respect to this altering of the motion and the motion itself in general, it's really going to be a moot point if we shorten it, now that I think about it, because when we signed the grant by March 1st, as he just stated, we still need to have a direction to go, because the funding for the education, for the public information, we have to know what that is. And so, yes, can we change our mind in 6 months? No, we can't change our mind in 6 months. This might need to be a trial by error if that is the way that it comes out to be. And if in a couple years down the road, that ends up being the case, you can curse my name, I guess, you know. But I think the ultimate part of it is, no matter what we do with the wording of this order, even if we were to change it, it doesn't change. We're not giving the director a direction, which we were asked for, and I believe that I don't want to speak for the mayor, but I believe that's why the wording has to be in such a way on this. It has to show our intention so that it can go to what the EPA is asking us to give them to be in compliance with the grant in itself. So other than that, the rest of it is just kind of minutia. So that's just all I want to say.
I'll remind everyone, we're still speaking to the amendment. Everyone has spoken multiple times on this, so we can keep going all night. It's up to you guys if you want to do that. But we've been doing this for several meetings now, and we're just on the amendment. So do we have counselors that want to speak to this amendment? Counselor Bullock.
Yeah, I think I have a question again, which is, are we, like, is it our job to give a direction? Or is it our job to accept the funds and trust our department head and executive office to do their jobs? I think this is where I'm like so confused by this whole thing. And either way, this is how I've sort of been seeing this tonight, is that it's not necessarily my job to tell a department head, in this case, I want you to do X. It's my job to say that I am approving the expenditure of the $2 million from the EPA grant, and that the decision that's made is made between a department head and their boss, knowing that we've now had this, whatever measure of public input we've had. So just, I guess, back to the original piece, I'll be supporting the amendment because I think that it is written appropriately, while we're just sort of taking those last few words off that set it in a solid direction. I think it's more of like a political question at this point, what those words afterwards say, and I don't feel convinced that it's my job to make that decision.
Thank you. I would like to address that, because I say this over and over again, that the city council does not run the government. That is a very good point that you bring up. We do not run anything. The department heads make these decisions, and it's highly unusual that a grant is coming to us in this manner. The whole method how this came through has been extremely strange. It didn't go through subcommittee, so it's creating some of the disagreements on this. But it's really clear that there are strong opinions in the public, and I get that. But our DPW and our executive branch have come to us with a specific order that they choose to go forward with. They're asking for direction. The EPA has asked for direction. So I think we should give that direction, and we should thank them for getting $2 billion. So are we ready yet to vote on this amendment?
I can see which way the wind is blowing here, so I'm going to keep this short, but I do want to make a point of saying, Director Warner, in no way do I intend this amendment to be a challenge to your expertise or the expertise of anyone in your department or the incredibly hard work that you and others have put into getting this grant and everything else that you do. So please know that. And I am happy that Greenfield is a city that cares this much about recycling, like period, full stop, right? I do have questions, still about both options. I do think in terms of this particular amendment, it sounds a little bit to me like we're trying to have it both ways, like it's not going to be an ordinance violation, but we do have to say we're going single stream, which is actually an ordinance violation, but we're not spending money yet, but we have to move forward. So I'm going to say I'm still a little confused about how that logic works. I have some other comments on the full motion itself. But again, my amendment is in no way intended to be a referendum on single stream versus dual stream. It's really just to keep us on safe legal footing.
Councilor Minhas?
Okay, first off, thank you, Director Marlowe, for being here so late. Again, for like, I don't know the how manyth time. What this, I respect you. I respect you guys' opinion on this, but I think it's dishonest to say that this amendment would not basically be dragging this out longer. The point for having this amendment on and changing the language is so that the whole debate is opened up all over again and that we don't go in a specific direction. And that's not possible. We can't do that. We got specific funding to move in a specific direction, and all we had to do was give the nod. And during the last meeting, when Marlo was here, we gave the nod, and I thought it was done and over with. So I'm gonna vote no on this this amendment. So let's get this going.
No comments? So we are voting on the amendment. Do we want that amendment read again? It's been a while. Do you have that amendment? Sorry.
So the motion is that we amend the original motion to strike out the words "for the purpose of transforming its manually collected dual stream recycling program to an automated single stream collection program."
Let's take a roll call vote.
Just to be clear, this vote is on the amendment only. Counselor Golub?
Yes.
Counselor Gordon?
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro?
No.
Counselor Bullock?
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore?
No.
Counselor Perry?
Pass.
Counselor Minhas?
No.
Counselor Toronzo?
No.
Counselor Perry, do you want me to come back to you?
Yes.
I'm coming back to you.
No.
Does the president wish to vote?
Yes and no.
The motion fails.
So we return to the original motion. So discussion on this original motion. Yes, Councilor Gordon.
I don't want to belabor this a whole lot longer, but again, I do want to appreciate that how much everyone here cares about us doing recycling and being a green and sustainable city. There are cities in the United States that are just getting rid of their recycling programs, and that's not what we're talking about here. And so I'm really proud of Greenfield, and also, again, very, very grateful for all the time and work that DPW has put into this and that others have put into trying to understand all the numbers here. I have probably spent 30 hours in the last month and a half talking, reading everything that we've been sent, talking to Athena, talking to people, experts in our community, talking to DPW directors in other communities, talking to recycling experts all over the country, actually. And there is actually no clear good answer to this. Like, yes, people put more recyclable material out, but a lot less of it gets recycled. And, there's just all sorts of questions, and it has made my brain really hurt. And at the end of the day, I come back to, I'm very glad that we are recycling and that we're all committed to that and committed to getting this grant. I am concerned that the costs are going to hurt us in the long term, especially, I think that someone said in public comment, it might be $40,000 more a year to take our stuff to, just for the fees of taking our stuff to the single stream facility, especially since in theory, we're going to increase the amount of material that's being put out by a lot. I'm afraid that it could be more like $100,000 a year difference between single stream and dual stream. So I just need to state for the record, that is a concern that I very much hold. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. And I think the only other piece for me is I totally respect that we are not here to tell city departments or the mayor how to do their jobs. I've been an executive director of a nonprofit. Boards sometimes go a little too far in that direction as well. And it's important for all of us to kind of know our lane. That said, we do have an ordinance that specifies that we do dual stream recycling in Greenfield, which says to me that the city of Greenfield thinks that it's important enough, has thought for however many years this ordinance has been in place, that it's important enough that we do dual stream recycling, that I would have really loved to see this conversation be brought to the council and the community before the decision was made to go single stream. Because the fact that we have an ordinance in place says to me that it actually did need council input and still does, actually. So that is all I will say. We have to get this grant, obviously. I will be more than happy to vote for this with the reservations that I've stated, but I am just kind of bummed at kind of how this all happened, because I think it happened in the wrong order, through nobody's ill intentions at all.
Councilor Minhas?
I'm not sure if I'm doing this the right way, but I think, can we bring this call to question? Can we get a vote on this?
Yes, and that's a non-debatable motion, so we need a second. Roll call vote. This is on to call the question.
The vote is to call the question. Counselor Golub?
No.
Counselor Gordon?
No.
Counselor Mastrotoro?
Yes.
Counselor Bullock?
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Minhas?
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo?
Yep.
Counselor Bottomley?
Yes.
The motion on calling the question passes with 7 yes.
So we will now take a roll call vote on the main motion.
On the motion as proposed, Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Mastrotoro,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo,
Yep.
Counselor President Bottomley.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Councilor Toronzo, the last motion.
Thank you. Order number FY 24-060, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, in order to rescind borrowing authorization unissued from Sewer Enterprise, moves that it be ordered that relative to Order 22-117, voted for 2022 for Sewer I&I, the City Council votes to rescind borrowing authorization unissued in the amount of $50,000. Majority vote required.
We need a second.
Second.
Report from committee.
Unanimously positive.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Golub, Counselor Golub, you're on mute. with the president's permission, I'll come back to her. Counselor Golub's on mute.
Oh, Counselor Golub.
I'm going to continue and come back
Okay,
to her.
great. So-
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Gilmore,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo.
Indubitably.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Golub,
I'm so sorry. I needed to leave the room for just one quick second.
so we're voting on order number 060 to rescind the borrowing.
I am a yes. Thank you for your. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Does the president wish to vote?
Yes and yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
We have no presentation of petitions and papers, report of committees. Any other reports? Unfinished business, none. Old business, new business. I just wanted to mention the open meeting law complaint. We will most likely have the lawyer here next week to talk to us about that. Next meeting. Oof, I'm out of, policy for counselors appearing via remote access. We discussed this and we could change the language, was just proposed kind of at the last minute to put this in the front. The idea is that counselors that are remote just try to keep their cameras on when they're speaking or voting, if at all possible. It's not a requirement of open meeting law, but it's something that we feel we should do, City Council. Appointments, we had several vacancies. Derek Healy has agreed to serve as a representative to the Greenfield Business Association. John Garrett as the council representative to the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee. And I just wanted to put out there, we still need counselors to serve on the Library Building Committee, which is still functioning, and the Mayor's Task Force Against Domestic Violence. So if you are interested in those, please email me or the clerk on that. We have a notice of zoning amendment proposals that we received a petition for the major development review, which I believe is headed already to Planning Board and EDC. Oh, we should have someone read those on page 121. If someone would like to volunteer to do that.
Sure. If people aren't tired of hearing my voice by now. Notice of zoning amendment proposals, February 21st, 2024. The following zoning amendment proposals have been submitted to the Greenfield City Council for consideration. Amend zoning Article 7, Special Regulations, Section 200-50, Major Development Review, subsection B, Application, Paragraph 1, submitted January 25th, 2024 by 10 registered Greenfield voters in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5.1. Miscellaneous zoning amendments, definitions of quote-unquote farm, comma, poultry, and quote-unquote dwelling, comma, 3-family. Section 200-55, marijuana establishments. Section 200-34, sign regulations. Section 200-21, Water Supply Protection District, submitted February 2nd, 2024 by the Planning Board.
Thank you, Councilor Gordon. There are no motions for reconsideration at this time, so I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And, do we need a second?
Second.
And unfortunately, a roll call vote.
Counselor Golub? She may have left. I don't know if we have a quorum, okay? Counselor Gordon?
Yes.
Counselor Master Totoro?
Yes.
Counselor Bullock?
Yes.
Vice President Gilmore?
Yes.
Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Minhas?
Yes.
Counselor Toronzo?
Absolutely.
Counselor Bottomley?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We are adjourned at 10 PM on the dot.